voice when selling. Especially when telephone selling, the tone of voice is the most important thing that will make an impact on the client or prospect. So what do we mean when we talk about tone of voice? First of all, I broke my neck a couple weeks ago when I was riding a bike. I got smashed by a car. Fortunately, all my extremities work, so another 8-10 weeks of this turtleneck, and we'll be good as new, let's hope. So anyway, let's talk about the 5 components of vocal quality. There's tone, pacing, volume, emphasis, and pauses. Okay, let's talk about tone. In order to have a high quality tone, you must consciously lift the roof of the mouth, the soft palate up, because you'll get a lot richer tone. If you don't do that, you get a very flat tone and you sound boring as heck. Okay, and if you also have your contraption in the back of your mouth in the wrong fashion, you'll start talking nasally like this. Okay, as little air should come out of your nose as possible while you're talking. So be very conscious of it and practice. Record yourself. Okay, so let's talk with rich tones, like a pro, like the best attorneys, like the best physicians. Talk like a professional. Use the voice to your advantage, because that's the most important impact is your tone of voice. Your pacing is also important. I remember when I took the Toastmasters courses where we'd get up in front of each other speaking, and the rest of the group would critique you. It was an extremely valuable experience. The biggest thing that people says was that I talked too fast. Maybe in the beginning I was nervous, so I wanted to hurry up and get it over with, but they said that I spoke too quickly, too fast. And so make sure that your tone, your pacing is appropriate. A lot of times they say pace the other person. If you're talking to somebody from the South, you may want to slow down a little bit because they'll relate to you better. People like people who will like themselves. If you're talking to somebody from New York who's real talking like that, you might want to speed up the pace. So try to talk to the speed match. Try to match the client or the prospect. Okay. Volume is also important. Are you talking too loud like this? Or are you talking so quietly you can barely hear you? So make sure that you have the appropriate volume for the situation. This is another case where it depends on the noise level and it depends on how loudly the other person is talking. Try to match them, but make sure you're speaking with enough volume they can hear you adequately. Next is emphasis. For example, if we say something like, let's take the sentence, I never said she stole the money. If we say, well, I never said she stole the money, or I never said she stole the money, 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 I never said she stole the money. All those sentences are the same words, but we emphasize a different word, and it totally changes the meaning, doesn't it? So really pay attention to that, so you're emphasizing the proper words. And then pauses. One of my favorite examples of pauses is if you're in sales after you ask the closing question. So would you like to go ahead and do this, George? You should be totally silent after you ask the closing question. Let the gears in their mind turn. We want to use pauses in the right places, but we don't want to use pauses so that unless it's a closing question, then you want to just totally shut up after you ask the closing question. But during the conversation, you want to make sure that there aren't these pregnant pauses in the middle of the conversation that leaves the other person feeling uncomfortable, okay? Except for when you're asking the closing question, then you shut up. So notice the pauses. They should be for a purpose and not to not subconsciously. You want to make sure that you use the pauses in the right places when you want the person to think about what you just said, for example. So the pauses, you make sure that you're conscious of when you use them. So make sure you control your tone of voice. You're not speaking nasally like this. And, speak in the lower range of your natural voice range because you'll have more authority. The pacing, the speed at which you speak, pay attention to what the other person, how quickly or slowly the other person is speaking. Try to match and mirror that. Make sure you have sufficient volume that the other person can hear you, but you're not overpowering, so you're blasting their eardrums off. Make sure you emphasize the proper words with the intent. Have variety in your vocal inflection, and make sure to use pauses appropriately, especially after you ask the closing question.